emphasis on bid. We haven't won a job in Haiti yet. That's for after the conversation. We're post-revenue. We're currently selling to the US military, which has been an amazing journey. We have commercial market validation in the Caribbean, where we're selling panels to a manufacturer of lamps. And we're now in Africa, in the South Pacific, in the US, and as well in the Caribbean. That's really what separates us from everyone else in the market. We have a special system that allows us to deploy structure irrespective of the terrain. So we can level the structure without having to pour a slab while still making it earthquake and hurricane resistant. Competitive advantages. We can dive into this. This is a little bit more in depth of what we want to talk about, but the obvious ones are tents and containers. We talked a little bit about that. Our solution starts right now. It's manufactured in the US. It's done in Florida. It's labor intensive, so that means that we're not as efficient. But as we grow, with your help, we're going to be able to scale even faster and then drive the price down even more dramatically. This is a military-based structure, by the way. Our phase one target market, US DoD, $7 billion. That's for you, by the way. I'm addressing them, he's not looking. So the total addressable market is $7 billion, just the DoD, just the US. We're not talking about all the other aspects of this. This is the proof of concept that people say to me, wow, this thing is really light, and how strong is this? Well, you have two team members that are holding a panel, which, by the way, is this panel. This panel weighs 14 pounds. You're welcome to come and try it afterwards. We put a pickup truck on it. 1,000 pounds per wheel on this 14-pound unit. We're made out of phenolic resin, which means it's extremely durable. It won't rot, it won't mold, it won't mildew. It is our first unit in the Mississippi has already gone through 1 hurricane and 5 major tropical storms, and that's our first prototype, so we've improved quite a bit since then. It will not be eaten by termites. There is no wood. It's extremely green. Oh, by the way, it won't burn.
Wow.
So you can go on YouTube, videos that show this. When you think about a house and how the footprint of a house is, what we see is this. The reality is the pyramid is here. We're affecting the forest. We're affecting 20 pickup trucks going to the job site every day. We're dealing with landfill issues. We actually get deployed in 1 day, 1,000 square feet, 10 men, 1 day, and your house is built. Very simple tools to assemble it. Dig a hole, put the foundation down, and when you're done, you can still take it away with you. Great advantage, obviously, for the military as well as first responders. Two of my partners, he's 72, he's 66. None of them have ever played in the NFL as a linebacker, yet are carrying an 8 by 20 panel.
Are they on Facebook?
Yeah. But he could use a hair product. This is an example of what we can make. Imagination is the only limitation. We can't make a circle, but we can get darn close by using a hexagon. Yeah. This is an application we show on how to use for a variety of different things, including clinics. This is the same structure. That particular building has been moved 4 times. This was the 3rd time in Camp Shelby in Mississippi. Those are the CVs. This is what they did when they were done. The leg foundation that I showed you earlier is actually buried on the ground. So it's stucco, painted, and ready to use. Thank you very much.
All right.
How many do you want?
I'd like to put them in my neighborhood.
There you go.
Yeah, tear down everything that's there. Solar.
Solar is the best marriage to a hyper-insulated structure. So the structure that use the most energy in the world today are houses. But yet we're putting devices that require a very good insulation for them to be high performance. So in this particular case, when you think about a structure that allows you very few seams and nothing thermally transferred from the outside in or from the inside out, solar is a great application. Wind is a great application.
Are you there? With
Yes.
solar on the roof?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we proposed we're teaming with companies that allows us to do a truly off-the-grid application. So the job that we bid on, I'll be right with you, the job that we bid on in Haiti, that we didn't win, was 160 houses, fully off-the-grid, water capture, solar, passive and active cooling, passive solar, whatever you want, it was all there. We didn't win, but find me afterwards, I'll tell you what happened.
I know in the housing market, there's technology not exactly like this, but similar with paneling. Is that a viable market for you at some point, the residential market?
Yes, we're not there yet.
Okay.
So it's called a structural insulated panel, and it started back in the 40s. Actually, Frank Lloyd Wright used it way back when. But it's traditionally using OSB, which is a wood product. Makes it very hard to move, but it is a very good performing system. In our particular case, we do see that as a future step. We can go up to 3 stories with our system today. But as we get more acceptance, then our intent is to try to penetrate into the market.
What about laws? Since this is a temporary structure, you got to get permitting, and if we were to do something like this on a lot somewhere, is it under the same guidelines?
No.
Since it's temporary? All right.
The guidelines are different because think about it as a portable structure that you've seen in the school for the last 20 years. So those temporary structures fall under different guidelines, and so you can build them very simply. But at the same time, we don't have to put them in an elevated format. So we just sent out 5 buildings to Africa for the U.S. military, and they're using it as a women's maternity, nursery, and health clinic in East Africa. And it's bolted on concrete. So you can do it both elevated and completely easily movable, or bolt them on concrete and keep them there forever, or still move them. Let me move to this side, yes.
I actually want to ask 2 completely unrelated questions. One of them is about the market, the $7 billion with the military. Is that based on 10 years in an active theater, or is that based on some other projections? Because it seems like going forward, we're out of Iraq, we're out of Afghanistan, and those numbers are going to change in different ways. The second is about calling it green. I'm curious what you meant by that.
Okay, so let's address the first one. Yes, the market actually is going to grow, and it's going to grow exponentially. And the reason behind it is that the U.S. military today uses more energy than many, many countries in the world, even today. So they're now buying and setting up solar farms to be able to drive energy back to bases. But again, we're going back to the fundamental issue that this is about the least efficient thing that we can live in. So they're looking for additional ways to change that. And so ultimately, they're going to need to look at different approaches, including super well-insulated structures. So that's really where it ties into. Going back to this, the manufacturing process is extremely clean. So fiberglass is about the only thing that's bad into this, so you have to be careful when you cut it and handle it. The phenolic resin is a well-known byproduct of the oil industry, so we're actually taking something that they have to do something with in any case. The foam core that's on the inside of it, that you guys are seeing walking around the room, is ubiquitous. You can find this anywhere in the world, and we buy it, we cut it, we assemble it, and then glue it and press it.
You mentioned very briefly, due to your time, what is the manpower requirement at the time to establish, say, 1,000 square foot structure?
10 men, 6 hours, no power tools, no heavy equipment.
And based on that, and the fact that you're dealing with, you probably deal with some applications with a large number of those having to go up fairly quickly because speed's important in that. How easy is it to train people to put those things up if you don't have the people?
IKEA meets Kevlar. So you may have some parts left over. I mean, we've all assembled. It's literally bolt in place. It is the simplest thing to train and teach. And right now when we do it is, actually someone in the military said to me, if you can train the CB to do it and not break it, you can install it almost anywhere in the world. And so we're assembling, and that's one of the things that we're doing now, is also putting together very simple instructions that are symbol coded rather than language coded. So it said this panel is, this symbol goes here, assemble it this way, screw it together, tighten it, you're done.
Have you approached the education market? Like you said, there's a lot of schools with portables. Have you put these shelters on existing schools?
We're almost there, and it's a great question. We actually had some conversations with one of the counties around Orlando, around Orange County. The problem that they have is they don't write the check. They say, we want 100 units, and oh, by the way, this is our budget, and we'll pay you over the next 10 years or 15 years. And so it would be a great problem to have, but at the same time, we're still in the infancy stage of a lot of things, so they would require from us some outside certifications that to date we still can't afford. So that's part of the next step of what we're into.
So are you partnering with individuals to do the infrastructure, like the stormwater, electrical, all the infrastructure is going to need to be in place with the junction boxes?
It's all done in-house. So the junction boxes, in this particular case, we're showing, it's how do we embed electrical and mechanical products within this. So we do it, we carve the foam and we put everything in here. Right now, it's up to the military because that's where it's primarily going to. Ultimately, we will have to do that. Although in-house, one of the partners is a structural engineer, another one is an architect. So we have a lot, and another one is a GC. So we've been able to put together a good team that allows us to do a lot of things in-house. But not if, but when we scale, and depending on where we go, then that will absolutely be part of what we do.
In terms of numbers and the timelines, how much did it take for you to get to this point, and how much do you need to go for?
Okay, we've been at it a little bit over almost 3 years. We're now post-revenue. I was in this really phenomenal, awkward place where the military came to me. Originally, we never thought about the military. Our point in our attempt was to address the non-governmental organization, first responders, emergency post-disaster relief. We got absolutely zero traction there, and so we did this. Now, mind you, you notice I didn't do this, right? I'm here because I'm still looking at that. So that part of the market is absolutely in our target. How to get there, we're currently in an equity raise mode, so we are looking to raise equity. How much? $4 million would be a perfect number. And that will help us get our escape velocity and push further on the channel, on our sales channel.
I want to ask you about the Navy. I should ask you later about it, but I spent a lot of all my career working in developing countries, lesser developed countries. Disaster relief may not be the solution, but this is a solution for housing. You know, I mean.
I did not pick. I did not plan her industry.
No,
that's exactly.
for housing. And I mean, I work with all these NGOs, and I run an NGO, and I just see this as a huge solution, and I can also tell you how to get the money to do that. So.
So let me tell you something that we've developed because we haven't turned our backs on social housing, right? So developing more housing. We've actually developed a factory system we can put anywhere in the world. So we can actually take this and take this. And by the way, this is the skin that you see flexible here that is carrying 1,000 pounds on these 14. This is what we deliver this. We buy the foam in the country and we train people on how to make panels that then get converted into housing. So we want this. We're trying to get into this, and so we'll talk.
Yeah.
If you had a disaster relief group that was interested in this product to move around the world, what's a ballpark of what it would cost for a structure, and what would it cost to move it to different parts of the world?
It's all driven back to volume. So remember, I said at the beginning, we're currently heavily into the handmade, process. So there is automation. There's a way to automate. Obviously, it takes a lot of money. The more we make, the cheaper it is. Simple math.
Right.
So our target point would be between $5,000 and $10,000 for a small structure that could be erected very rapidly. But the RO, which is obviously 75 to 200 times more expensive than a tent. But in Haiti, 3 years later, there's still 400,000 people living in tents. So the ROI on something like this is infinite because you hose it down, put it in a container, move it to the next location. The speed to market, the watershed moment, if someone here said, I want 1,000, let's do it, we start delivering in about 4 to 5 weeks the first units. And we could be full on, ramped on, depending on the size and complexity, probably by the end of the year, year and a half. So again, depending on what, where, and how, that's how we would approach it. The key would be also to remember that the more we make for a particular market, the more it makes sense to actually make it there, because we're shipping air. And air is expensive to ship.
We're at downtownsitebig.com. What does it cost per square foot now, and what is your projected cost per square foot?
Right now, it varies anywhere between $80 a square foot to $1,000 a square foot. $1,000 a square foot is for ballistic resistant material. There's no granite or anything there. So depending on what we do, that's the range of pricing. So let's go to the more reasonable price point. Let's say the 95. We'd like to cut it down, again, depending on complexity and size, to anywhere between $20 to $50 a square foot. And if we make it in country, our labor cost drops dramatically, obviously.
Is this product a custom made? You have patents on it, and what is the lifetime? If once I put out in there, how long will it be?
Okay. Some of it is secret sauce, right? Not even my dog knows it. The second part of that is patented, so several of those processes and methodologies on how we're assembling it. We have 3 patents pending on that, 2 more being filed at the moment. We're finalizing with the lawyer. Lifetime, probably your great-grandkids. Yeah, I mean, think about it. The foam will last about 400 years. I think that's the math. Phenolic resin won't burn, won't mildew, rot. No termites, can't burn. So, barring driving a truck through it, you're really, it's going to last for a long time.
Aesthetically, for people that are going to be hanging things in like the military, if they're going to put maps on the wall or something, is that conducive to setting anchors into?
Yes, you would use a wider anchor bolt and drive that into it. So a little tiny bit, little screw would work, but not with a lot of weight. So it will work with that. Additionally, if we do need to go ahead and anchor cabinets, other things, then we actually embed behind it a stronger structure similar to this. And then in here, that's actually what we use for our doors and windows in order to be able to anchor that.
Have you looked at the Red Cross? Because this looks like this would be terrific for mobile medical units or crisis.
Yes, please look.
And
We hollered, we gestured, we shut down. We run into the, in some facetious way, we run into the, well, it's kind of weird, but, someone here said that yesterday they announced that, weird housing solution is presented tomorrow. And I said, can you stop laughing? I said, yeah, it is a little weird, but we think it's a world solution. It's just an acceptance thing. So ultimately, FEMA still can get traction. It's not what you know.
right.
It's truly who you know. So if you know, let me know.
You mentioned your cost per square foot. Back in the pictures of tent cities, one of the advantages of the tents, they have natural ventilation, right? Thank you very much. So don't you have a requirement on top of your structure of providing some type of ventilation then, since it's such a super sealed environment?
Windows, passive wind, absolutely. So because it's elevated, air flows right through it. The flip side of that is that when it rains, you get washed out with your tent. The sanitation issues are huge. Protection is a major problem, which, by the way, is why we triggered this originally. In Haiti, I kept on reading about women and children being murdered, raped, molested in the 10 cities in Haiti. And I'm thinking about this. We're sending a 10,000-year-old technology for what? There's got to be, now again, I can put 10,000 tents in a C-17 cargo plane and deliver it tomorrow. Great. And then what? Right? There's a tent city in the desert in Jordan that when in a year and a half there's 1 million people living in the desert in Jordan. That's 130 degrees during the day and less than 30 at night in a tent.
How do you recycle this and how do you dispose of it?
Well, hopefully you'll never dispose of it, right? But if it breaks down and you have to tear it apart, the EPS foam gets shredded and reused. Same thing with this. But again, when you look at the lifespan, the projected lifespan of this, your great-great-grandkids will have a problem or will have to figure it out. But it's already existing today. This can be shredded and reused.
getting back to what you were saying about it's all about who you know, and I don't know this person, but have you contacted like Oprah? I mean, I'm being serious, I know it sounds ridiculous, but because she is so prevalent in helping Africa, and I'm thinking about, you know, Bono and all they do in the world, not just here, that it seems like such a great solution, and if you had a celebrity to kind of promote, it would actually make people listen.
It's very interesting. So a friend of mine is currently in Haiti and has created jobs and hires women and creates and makes sandals out of recycled tires, and she's met Sean Penn. And Sean Penn is having an issue building houses in Haiti. I'm just using that as an example. Would it be great? Yes. I'd love to be able to. Someone went and saw Bill Gates at a convention, and she saw me. I gave this presentation at the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City at 1 million cups in November. And she sent maybe 50 tweets to Bill Gates. It's like, hey, you should check this out. This is amazing. Oh my God, you know, you're talking about, you know, blah, 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 blah. Nothing has happened. But again, it's a groundswell. It's a continued push. We haven't given up yet. We're close, but not there yet. And again, the more people talk about it, the more, you know, the ripple effect of an event like this is immeasurable. So.
I know Phonetic Residence is using circuit boards. Are you putting wires in there for the electricity problems? You know, building them right in, or?
Again, it goes inside this. So when we're embedding, when we're needed to put electric conduits in it, we just pre-build it and drive the wires within the conduit.
All right, so it's not in the board itself.
It's not in this at all. No, it would complicate life way too much for us to do that. It's an interesting thought, though. Is my time up?
It is, so what can we do to help?
Spread the word, like us on Facebook. We need
restaurant, lots of people.
That's what he said, it's good, but it's, you know, to get the feedback and get everyone involved. I mean, you think I'd say to him,